Hello, you're listening to Metal Verbalizers and I am Johan, and today I will verbalize the band Thrasherwolf. Thrasherwolf is a thrash metal band from London, UK. They have said themselves to be very influenced by bands such as Creator, Onslaught, among a few others. And I believe, personally, I think it definitely shows in their sound. Thrasherwolf has a kind of semi-extreme sound that really makes me think of bands such as Onslaught. They are playing really fast, heavy and tough thrash, but still has a kind of clean edge to it, or whatever you want to call it. It's like the vocals are not that extreme, and it does really remind me of stuff like Onslaught and maybe in a way, I would say Warbringer a little bit. The kind of raspy, tough thrash vocals, but still not really going to that growl sound. Still kind of keeping a clean edge on it, which I personally think's really fit for this kind of type of music. Thrash metal. I think it's kind of cool when they kind of keep a tough, raspy vocal, but still kind of keeping a little bit of clean in there. Even though I love a bunch of thrash metal bands who are going for a more growl approach to kind of put that death/thrash sound to it. But anyway, I believe that Thrasherwolf themselves have compared them to bands such as Creator and Onslaught, and I think that's pretty accurate, personally. I can definitely hear some influences in there. And overall I think Thrasherwolf does a pretty good job with like mixing the old school sound and approach, but kind of putting a little modern touch in there. So kind of giving praise to the old days and old school stuff, but still kind of keeping it fresh, if that makes sense. I think Thrasherwolf definitely does a very good job in doing that. But anyway, Thrasherwolf debuted in 2018 with an EP, I believe, titled Blood Moon. And I believe Thrasherwolf seems to be a band that debuted with an EP, which doesn't seem super common in my experience, but it does kind of make sense. A lot of bands debuts with demos and stuff like that, but at the same time I kind of feel like if you have enough ideas and songs, etc., in order to make an EP, it makes total sense to me in order to do that. So it's like, why not? The title, however, Blood Moon, is an obvious reference, I believe, to the band's kind of concept regarding wolf and werewolves and stuff like that. Because I read somewhere, I don't believe I remember quite where, but I believe I read somewhere that according to some folklore, is that the Blood Moon is supposed to make werewolves more aggressive and stronger, etc. So Thrasherwolf having a title like that for one of their releases makes total sense to me. That's kind of my point here. But they also released 2 singles in 2020, which were titled The Vortex and Good Old Fashioned Violence, which are 2 great singles, by the way. And like titles such as Good Old Fashioned Violence it kind of really makes me think about stuff like Exodus, stuff like A Lesson in Violence, Another Lesson in Violence, which is the live album by Exodus. And good old friendly violent fun and stuff like that. So I don't know, it feels like Thrasherwolf might also be very influenced by Exodus in many ways, which I would kind of argue that most, if not pretty much all, thrash metal bands today is in some way kind of influenced by Exodus. And these singles, The Vortex and Good Old Fashioned Violence, can both be found on the band's first debut full-length album titled We Are Revolution, aka War, which is an abbreviation for We Are Revolution, obviously. If the abbreviation War is intentional to be kind of double meaning, so to speak, is unknown to me. I don't know that, but in a way it kind of would make sense to me. It's kind of interesting thing there that I noticed when planning for this episode, that I actually didn't know if that was intentional or not, but I guess maybe we'll find out about that later. Anyway, just in general, I believe that Thrasherwolf seem to be a very up and coming band. You know, they seem to be very active and very, very hard working. In fact, I actually contacted Thrasherwolf before recording this episode, and they mentioned perhaps mainly two things. The first thing that they mentioned to me was that they are planning a single in the near future, as well as merch to go along with that. Yeah, which is something that I personally look very forward to hearing. They didn't tell me when they were supposed to release the single, but other than soon. So I guess we're just gonna have to keep our eyes open for that, and I believe that you should definitely keep your eyes open for that. And speaking of keeping your eyes open, which is a kind of funny thing, because the title is actually supposedly titled 1,000 Eyes. So hopefully we will have 1,000 eyes open for that single. Just generally, they released a picture on their social medias and such of the album cover, or well, the single cover to be exact. And I just definitely like that immediately. It's kind of a picture with someone sitting by a couple of computer screens with a bunch of eyes depicted on them. I just definitely liked that immediately when I saw it, and you should totally check it out if you haven't seen it yet. However, there was also another thing that they mentioned when I was in contact with the band myself, and that was that they are planning a tour, an upcoming tour with the bands Hellfected and Blacklist, which is one of those bands which I have talked previously on this podcast, which was Hellfected. If you haven't heard that episode, I would like to encourage you to go do that as well. And I don't know. I think it might be kind of time to wrap things up here. I definitely appreciate you listening, and if you like this episode, then make sure to follow us on Metal Verbalizers, and we will make sure to give you tips like this. If this episode results in you checking out this band, please tag us and let them know that we sent you and that we made you find out about them, so to speak. We would appreciate that a lot, and it would definitely mean a lot for us personally and a lot for this podcast in general. So if you would like to do that, that would be very, very great and amazing for us. And just generally, we will be back to you soon with more episodes. As always, every Tuesday at 5 a.m. And well, appreciate you for listening, and have a good one.